Next section says, much is conveyed in few words in Army Field Forces brief on practical concepts of leadership. It is stressed therein that the preeminent quality which all great commanders have owned in common is a positiveness of manner and of viewpoint, the power to concentrate on means to a given end to the exclusion of exaggerated fears of the obstacles which lie athwart the course. Every word of that should be underscored, and above all, what it says about the need for affirmative thinking and concentrating on how things can be done. This is you always hear about this. You always hear about this person, the person that says, when you go to them and say, hey, can we do this? They're always looking for a way to say no, a reason why something can happen instead of, no, we can do that. We can make that happen. We can figure out a way. That's what we're looking for. Next section. And this section is actually the same topic of what this podcast is the topic of, and that is human nature.
Legit.
Those who had the chance to study American men under the terrible rigor of Japanese imprisonment during World War II gave an analysis that in certain of the prisoners, character and sanity with it held fast against every circumstance. In others, some of whom had been well educated and came from gentle homes, the brute instinct was as uppermost as in an East African cannibal. And when they say brute instinct, that's the person that just loses and goes to the animal instincts. From such crucibles as these, even more than from the remittent stresses of combat and war, comes the clearest light on the inner nature of man, insofar as it needs to be understood by the officer who may someday lead a force into battle. Human nature. One of the things that he says about human nature in here is goodwill and weakness may be combined in one man, bad will and strength in another. High moral leading can lift the first man to excel himself. It will not reform the other. But there is no other sensible rule than that all men will be approached with trust and treated as trustworthy until proved otherwise beyond reasonable doubt. So he's thrown out the trust. This is a little bit opposite. I've talked about it. I was like, actually, I should take that back. Remember one time on the podcast I said, look, I don't have a high expectation of people when I meet them.
Right.
And I hold that true to this day. But I don't straight up not trust them as a human.
Yeah.
There's a difference there.
Yes.
I think there's a difference. I think I feel that way.
There is and it's not an obvious difference, but it's like the difference between I don't have a high expectation of somebody and versus I have a low expectation of a person.
Got it.
Somebody.
Yes.
So
yes.
But it does sound the same though. It sounds the same. If you don't have a high expectation, then what kind of expectation do you have? Oh, obviously
None.
a low one. Right, exactly right.
Maybe just a neutral one.
Right. Like I'm not going to put any expectations. I'm not expecting you to do a bunch of heroic, I don't have any expectations.
Just neutral.
Yeah.
I think I come in with a neutral attitude on that one.
Yeah.
Back to the book. Men do not achieve a great solidarity or preserve it simply by being together. Their mutual bonds are forged only by doing together that which they have been convinced is constructive. The absence of a common purpose is the chief source of unhappiness in any collection of individuals. Lacking it, and the common standard of justice, which is one of its chief agents, men become more and more separate units, each fighting for his own rights. This is why you got to have that common purpose. This is why that commander's intent is so important. This is why it's important that everyone has to understand why they're doing what they're doing.
Yep.
They have to understand the strategic goal that you're trying to meet as a company, as a business, as a team, as a platoon.
And as a person, in like a lot of people, they go into straight up depression because
if they don't see the big goal,
if they don't see a purpose in their life, man.
Yeah. That is true.